Hello, Netroots. I am so happy to be back here with the rudest, loudest, and truest grassroots activists in the United States of America. As somebody who's only been doing politics full-time for 5.5 years, I learned the most by doing. So that means I've knocked on doors in Orange County to throw Republican congresspeople out of office. I've rallied with thousands of people in Salt Lake City to demand the president immediately return families together. And I've been talking to voters in town halls from Denver to Minneapolis and from Orlando to right here in New Orleans last night. And along the way, what I've come to know, to really understand, is that grassroots activists are the heart and soul of the progressive movement. That we have to return power to the people in this country, but most importantly, that the vast majority of Americans are generous, hardworking people who are not being heard. So let me ask you a question. How many people in this room think that the Democratic establishment in Washington is listening to you and doing what you want? Seriously, I'm asking, raise your hand if you feel heard. If the leaders you elected are actually listening to you and doing what you want them to do. Love Barbara Lee. Me neither. Because I don't see a single constructive thing coming out of Washington, D.C. Not one thing. In less than a year and a half, Donald Trump has gone from someone too awful to think about and who can't win to someone so awful we have to think about him every single day. And I don't see the Democratic establishment doing anything real to stop him. They're not willing to face a devastating and obvious truth about this president, that he is wildly corrupt, and that we are well past the threshold to kick him out of office. A lot of the people in the Democratic establishment will agree with me on those points in private. But when I ask them if they're willing to step up and take a stand, to act publicly, I get a lot of long-winded non-answers. Their message to me and the 5.5 million Americans who are demanding Donald Trump's impeachment is that it's bad politics. It's off message, and it will galvanize the Republicans. So my question for the Democratic establishment is, how corrupt is too corrupt for you? Getting unconstitutional payments from foreign governments to your personal companies, something this president does virtually every single day. Is that too corrupt for you? How about a $500 million loan from the Chinese government? What if 58 constitutional scholars identified 9 different grounds for removal? What if one of those grounds was public obstruction of justice? Would that be enough reason to take action? This man is in command of our nuclear arsenal, and he can launch missiles in under 8 minutes. We know that. Yet there is no sense of urgency among the Democratic establishment. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think Donald Trump is unfit for office? Do you need to wait for Robert Mueller to tell you Trump is wildly corrupt? Then here's my message to you. If you cannot trust Mr. Trump to make judgments on social justice, about the health and safety of all Americans, or on democracy and the rule of law, and you cannot trust him, then you should join the movement of 5.5 million Americans who've had enough. Not just with Trump and Trumpism, but also by the attempt by Washington insiders to bury this uncomfortable truth that he needs to be removed from office. To you and to me and to millions of Americans, this is all pretty obvious. But not a single person in the Senate Democratic caucus has shown the common sense or the sense of right and wrong to support impeachment. Not one. In fact, there hasn't been a serious effort to introduce a motion for impeachment in the House since December. That's 8 months ago. The establishment Democrats are going to come here to speak to you guys because they want your support, but they won't take an actual step, a real move to rein in a reckless, dangerous, and lawless president. And I would say to these politicians, if you don't think impeachment is a good idea, if it's too divisive, then what's your plan? Next gen and need to impeach. We have a plan. We've held more than 40 town halls and candidate forums in communities across this country. We've built the largest youth voter program in history. And what those voters tell us is that they're tired of politicians doing nothing and telling them to wait. They're tired of fancy speeches that don't translate into action. Well, we can change that. We're building a movement of people who are ready to retake Washington, retake state houses, and retake city halls. We have tens of thousands of young people across the country carrying our message door to door, phone to phone, and online. We've already knocked on over 260,000 doors in 7 Republican-held congressional districts just in the California primary. And just so you know, youth turnout in that primary was up over 100% from 4 years ago. More than double. Netroots, you know, organizing works. The truth works. We've already registered over 80,000 young people to vote, some who were motivated by the Parkland shooting to toss out NRA-backed candidates in November. We set out to win renewable and clean energy ballot initiatives this year: Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. And by the way, we've already won in Michigan. We are organizing just like the people in this room, and we're training the next generation of organizers. And what I've learned is something you all have known for a while. You've got to be honest at the door. You've got to be about the truth. Door knocking means nothing without the truth. It means nothing if you don't have a message and you're not willing to listen to them. No one will knock on a door for you, and no one will listen to you unless they believe in you. Now, we have a message to believe in. It's simple. We have to take down this corrupt president and his Republican enablers. And we have to usher in a new era for America, one that is more just, more inclusive, and more prosperous. I want to thank all of you for what you do. Every time in American history that injustice has reared its ugly head, it has been met with the brave, generous efforts of decent Americans like you all who are committed to justice. You are the patriotic Americans. Together, we are that movement. And I believe in November of 2018, we will win. Thank you very much.